This is a very interesting one. So, a Curse Farms, I think it's Curse Farms, who made the group Stop Killing Games, has went to Parliament. You guys remember that whole thing? It is something very, very interesting with that. So, Stop Killing Games. I'm very like I'm right now. I'm happy. We did a video a long time ago. I think I was reacting to it, to Stop Killing Games, and basically what happened is, what Stop Killing Games is a group pretty much that are fighting for the game industry of like end of life games. So it's like all the games that you're playing, like Destiny 2, Marathon, things like that. If the life of that game were to end, instead of just cutting the service and then you no longer are able to play, they would have to incorporate some sort of component, like an offline component. So either have like an offline story mode, or like a way that you're able to play the game offline when the servers are no longer a thing, or have some sort of peer-to-peer server, which is, I'm just telling you now, it's kind of not that great, because that's where a lot of hacks and stuff happen, but something like that, so you're able to still play the game because you bought the game and you earned it. So this is what it was, which is pretty much is going on. They did do a petition. They had well over 1 million signatures, which led to them going to the European Parliament hearing, and then they were able to talk about it. So let's see what happened. And this is from Young Yeah. So you guys already know the man, the myth, legend, Young Yeah. Here we go.
Stop Killing Games. What started as a humble campaign that was fighting for consumer protection has turned into something far grander than I think anyone was expecting, especially for game corporations who don't stand to benefit from the idea of investing in consumer protection.
By the way, when this happens, like when we talk about the games, usually it's the AAA game industry, not indies, because indies is like, all right, we made the game, here you go, boom, that's it. We already have a single player component. We have a multiplayer if we are able to, if we're able to even code it. Here's an online component, but mainly here's a single player component you're able to play offline anyway, regardless.
So this right here is the website. And you can see, if you've been following the story, what an upgrade even the website has received, suggesting that there's truly a lot of momentum that this campaign is experiencing, and it's got more people helping support this movement.
Ross Scott, that's
beyond Ross Scott, who kind of kickstarted the whole Stop Killing Games initiative. You've got more.
And all he did, how all this started with a YouTube video, which is amazing. I love it.
Katzmer, the general director. You've got Jonah Goldman, director of U.S. Advocacy and Community Engagement, as well as Clemens Estelle, who's the leader of Does It Play, who is SKG's, or Stop Killing Games' physical counterpart as part of the broader movement. And there's an endeavor that started all the way back in June of 2024. And among the initiatives that gained the most traction was the European Citizens Initiative, as you can see right here, which started on June of 2024, ended in July of 2025. Votes were counted. They needed over 1 million votes for this to be taken seriously by the government, and they far exceeded that number, with signatures having been verified. And there's generally been a major showcase of public support, especially from the gaming community, who fully agree with Stop Killing Games' goal to ultimately make it so that games just don't disappear forever when, you know, like servers go down and whatnot, or they can't just get delisted and taken away from players' libraries, from, you know, the paying customers who paid money for a product that is up to companies to decide whether the customers get to keep the product. That's just an unacceptable way of like doing business and doing transactions. And in large part, Stop Killing Games' success can be owed to Pirate Software, whose dissent against Stop Killing Games ironically went viral and only created more support for Stop Killing Games. Ironically, the man who tried to kill Stop Killing Games ended up saving it by bringing all this attention to it. So that's a whole other thing. And since then, behind the scenes, there have been developments going on here and there surrounding Stop.
It basically, what happened was, he was talking about how it's not really a good thing, but then there was like it seemed like it was miscommunications when going over it. And Ross Scott, he tried, which is a Curse Farms, he did review, or he did a reaction video to what Pirate Software is saying, and he was like, "Oh, you somewhat get it," and then like Pirate Software went like, was like explaining something completely different. He's like, "No, that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're talking about." He's like, "That's not what we were trying to do. We're not trying to just say, hey, you need to keep the game on forever. It's like, no, you just need to have an offline component to it. So if you guys were done with the game, people are still able to play some sort of way." Because basically what really stemmed this off was The Crew. If you guys remember the Microsoft game The Crew, they have a series of games that came out after The Crew, but just think, you played the game The Crew, and then they're like, hey, The Crew 2 is coming out, and it's been out for a while, and you're still playing Crew 1 because that's what you pay for. And then they just end this live service for the Crew 2, or they end the live service, or they end the service completely for the Crew 1, which you are no longer able to access, that you paid for. That's what people were talking about. They need to have an offline component where you're able to either just play the game and stuff. And the thing is, if you play The Crew, it looks like the game looks like you can play single player. It doesn't look like it's required to play online or anything. It looks like a single player game, but that's a whole different story. So yeah, that's what happened with Pirate Software was talking about it and things like that, miscommunications, which came down to, and then people were just like, all right, we're just gonna sign up for this and everything. Unfortunately, people in the US weren't able to sign up for it because it was for the European Parliament, so it was only European countries are able to. So what a lot of content creators, especially in the US, what they did was basically we just made videos and pushed this out more, try to encourage like people in their audience that are possibly from the UK or from Europe and stuff like that to give a signature, to support the petition. That's pretty much.
Stop killing games, but there have been two major situations that further indicate that Stop Killing Games is only getting started, and that Stop Killing Games may have enough momentum right now where it just cannot be stopped, as government officials now are getting heavily involved in essentially implementing many of what Stop Killing Games is requesting, especially in the games industry and just for digital media in general, so that consumers have more protections and more control over their agency over the digital products that they buy. One of the biggest developments recently was that California recently introduced this bill called Protect Our Games Act, and this is an endeavor that
the rarest win W from California. And I'm originally from California, and they do a lot of stupid stuff, we all know, but this is like the rarest of the rare, diamond in the rough, deep down in the core of win.
That is being supported by Stop Killing Games as they throw their weight behind this California bill. They have moved to support a Californian bill that in its current form would require studios to either update games with impending server shuttering so they keep working independently afterwards, or provide full refunds. So basically, either make sure that when your game does shut down, there's some kind of functional state that allows people to access it, even if not in the best state possible, because, it's meant to be an online experience and the servers have shut down. At the very least, if it's playable, it'll meet the criteria of Stop Killing Games so that the product doesn't just disappear forever. And if they can't do that, then the stipulation is that companies are forced to provide full refunds, which is something that corporations don't want. So they'll be incentivized to actually ensure that games just don't disappear off the face of the planet and out of people's libraries.
Now, a perfect example for a game that was online, that has a great offline component. It's a game on Xbox 360. It was called Phantasy Star Universe. I used to play that game like crazy. That was my World of Warcraft because I didn't have a computer at the time. But what Phantasy Star Universe is they had a story mode, obviously single player story mode. And then they also have an online component, which you had to pay $10 for online access. You're able to play online and stuff like that until the server shut off, pretty much. This was made by Sega as well. And you would think that like you wouldn't be able to play it online anymore, which I mean, kind of is true. But they had a different component. They had one that said extra mode or offline mode. And when you click that, it's like if you were to play online, but you don't have the online features of like, you know, social interactions and stuff like that. You're able to go around to like the different areas and stuff. One of these days I'll have to show you guys, because I still have it on my saved on my Xbox 360. And it's a really fun, it's a fun game. Like, I really enjoy it. I'll have to go back and do like a Sunday side quest playthrough of it or something like that. It's a really fun time, and things like that. So yeah, that's a perfect example. They had an extra mode or an offline mode where you're able to still play and have fun and stuff. The only downside is you just won't be able to play with your friends, because again, the offline component or the server is over. So also another W, I would say, sorry to say, with California, is they passed another bill. It was a while ago they passed a bill that any games that require online, require internet or anything like that, they have to state that on the game, or that you are paying for an online license when you buy the game. That's also another thing, which is great, Dub.
When support for them end, and not just for multiplayer games, but even a lot of like single player games. When licensing agreements go awry, they also can be taken away from players' libraries. So just across the board, yeah, that's an area that many people find to be unacceptable. And as you can see right here, Stop Killing Games is full on advising on drafting this legislation. They have a ton of input, and given how much Stop Killing Games has spent researching all of this, it can provide the exact knowledge that will allow this legislation to thread the needle so that it's reasonable for everyone involved, while still ultimately achieving the goal of protecting consumers from the amount of control that companies have over digital products that customers don't really have much agency in, despite the fact that they're buying these products. And this Californian legislation will require companies that sell server-connected video games to notify consumers before ending support, and to provide clear information about how the game will function once it reaches end of life. So it's about both keeping consumers informed and doing right by them once a game reaches end of life, by ensuring that either they get their money back or that they can still access some kind of functional version of the game. The bill also prohibits companies from selling the game within 2 months of its end-of-life date, and requires them to either replace the game or provide a plan allowing users to continue running it after support ends. Be it through a patch that allows for a single-player version of the multiplayer game, or through some kind of functionality that allows for private servers, you name it. There are some exceptions when it comes to certain business models like subscription services and free games, so that kind of stuff, you know, wouldn't apply, because, you know, at that point you are not agreeing to buying something outright, but rather renting something out through subscription, or engaging with free games where you didn't actually spend any money. And the legislation would not apply to any products that allow for permanent offline download, like, you know, GOG, or any game that's DRM free, where you can download the product after purchase and just kind of like copy and paste it and keep it anywhere, and don't need servers from a company in order to ensure the game is functional. So yeah, there's a lot of legislative headway being made in the US when it comes to what Stop Killing Games goals are for digital media. And you can see right here on Christopher M. Ward's own official website, you'll find that this bill...
Now here's my thing when it comes to just the games in general. How would they be able to do, for instance, like with Battlefield 3, okay, for example. Battlefield 3, they have single player mode, they had a co-op mode, but I don't think you're able to do it now. I don't think you're able to do it anymore. And then obviously they had multiplayer. One half of the game you're not able to access because, again, they shut the servers down for multiplayer. So would there be a way to have an offline component of doing that for some sort of fashion? I'm curious, because the reason why I'm saying this is because, like, say for instance for Battlefield 6, if the game is just no more, right? Yeah, you have campaign, but the thing is, multiplayer was a huge component of it. So what do you do there? You know? Yeah. So get over. T said getting over 1 million signatures, bringing attention to the problems in video games is a victory in itself. And having the support of a political party is already something. Personally, I don't believe things will change. Maybe 1 or 2 laws will be passed to prevent games from being destroyed. But other than that, I don't believe it will happen. Who knows? We shall see. Like the guy in Brussels said, 8F, like 8F, this situation was on books, cars, etc., etc. Consumers will be upset. Video games is the same. That's why the things need to change in the video games world. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I say, like, when it comes to like your offline games that you have and everything are your indie games or your older games. Current games and newer games that are coming out, most likely you won't be able to save entirely. You may save pieces of it, but you may not save it entirely. Why? Like, especially with digital, and this is why I keep getting physical copy games, because the game that you purchase and everything online, who knows? It could just get wiped from the store or something like that. It could happen. And I'm guessing that's why they're like, people are like, oh, that's why you have the cloud. But you know, the thing is, the cloud can, there can be an issue with the cloud. The cloud can get corrupted at some point. Like, something could happen to your account where, hey, you don't have access to this game and this game and this game, knowing that you paid for it in the past, like 5-10 years ago. But there's no way to really show it, and there's no way to get it back because it's no longer in the store. Then you're screwed. But for me, I have the disc, so I can be like, oh, okay. I just pop the disc back in the console, boom, download it again. I'm done. Or install it. I'm good. That's it.
This legislation is something that is being actively pursued. So that's major development number one. And this development alone has already garnered a ton of public support. And that's
also another big thing is why they're doing it in California, because a lot of the studios for video games and everything is in California.
Important because politicians are drawn to anything that makes them look good in the eyes of the public. And so the fact that this whole development is already seeing posts like this that are garnering, you know, almost 5 million views, over 116,000 likes, how viral these kinds of developments become, and how much of that virality in terms of overwhelming majority is all in support of Stop Killing Games goes to highlight that this is a topic that hasn't just died down, hence the momentum we're seeing on a political level now, on a legislative level. And then a second major development is that Stop Killing Games recently joined the European Parliament to engage in a hearing regarding this movement to stop destroying video games and permanently erasing them from the face of the planet. And you can see the full videos right here, the full hearings yourself on Stop Killing Games official channel.
Good job.
But you can see right here from Scott Smile, like that's
I saw a video. A guy have a physical game and the company turn off the service. Even some physical games are being affected. Oh yeah, again, like I have Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360. I have the disc and everything. I can't play it online. Like I still can't put online there. I still can't play the game online or anything, which is true. So that's why it's like my whole thing is when it comes to, it's just with digital itself. That's my concern. Like, it hasn't happened, but I feel like it may happen sometime in the future where you have a game that you bought from the digital store and then it's just randomly gone and there's no way for you to get it back. That's my concern. That's why I have physical games.
A man who feels pretty good about recent developments, who came out feeling pretty victorious about how things went when it comes to these hearings. And the thing is, this was the big one. This is the result of the European Citizens Initiative that shot significantly past 1 million signatures and what drew public attention to this movement. So it was really pivotal for this to go well. And the general sentiment is that it really did, for those who have looked into all of the different hearings and sessions. So Eurogamer, for example, reports that Stop Killing Games has its stay in European Parliament, and it seems to go very well. You've got PC Gamer reporting that Stop Killing Games delivers absolutely incredible hearing in European Parliament. And we can find all of the details in the articles of these respective news outlets who covered all of this. Eurogamer focused more on Stop Killing Games' argument on why this is a necessity and how the major argument surrounding Stop Killing Games is that people no longer having access to something they paid for is unjust, stating, quote, this is directly from Ross Scott, who's been spearheading this entire movement. What this means is customers have no real protections when they buy games like these. They are unable to keep them, and they're not informed when they will end, especially when it comes to those like server-dependent games like live services and whatnot. This behavior would be outrageous in other industries, Scott said, which is something that just about everyone agrees with. If you bought a book in a store, he presents as an example, the publisher cannot come into your home and take back your book at will. If you bought an insurance policy, you would be informed when that policy ends, not that the seller can end it at any time for any reason, but still keep your money. Yeah, all very reasonable arguments. The games being sold this way are operating similar to scams. Publishers know customers expect video games to last, so they sell these in the same ways as ones that can work forever, as a one-time purchase with no expiry date, and price them the same. Arguing that they do this on purpose so people don't question their game purchases because they don't have the knowledge to realize that the purchase that they're making is actually a temporary one rather than something that is permanent, as the word buy indicates. Scott argues.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you see that, so okay, so let me put it this way. It's in the EULA, that's what I call it. The end user license agreement. That's what it stands for. It actually says it in there that the game is like for online services only, blah blah blah, and there's like a chance that that if servers were to go down or terminated and things like that, you won't be able to have access to it. The issue is, it's in all of that. It's in all of those paragraphs. It's buried in the paragraphs. And the thing is, you won't be able to access those unless you purchase the game first. So that was also a big issue as well, is that you don't get the information of saying, hey, you're only paying for the license until you actually purchase the copy of the game in order to read that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like having an insurance policy on your car, right? And everything, but you have to buy the car first before you get the insurance, or before you're able to read the policy of your insurance, which you have no idea. It could be a premium, which is like super high in price, or it could be like, some regular low price. Loan license, yeah, there you go.
Is that the industry's trying to have it both ways, trying to find ways to say they're selling you a game that they're not really selling you. This creates confusion for everyone involved, and it's part of the reason why it's taking time for customers to get exposure on this practice.
Yeah, and also it doesn't help that sorry for pausing so much, but also it doesn't help that games are coming out very half-assed. So they're like, oh well, the game's just not, the game is half-assed, don't worry, like we'll have it out for like a couple years, which this is what I'm thinking. Yeah, they'll just have the game come out for a couple years, and then after that we'll just go ahead and we'll just kill it off and just move on to the next thing.
Scott also highlighted some hard numbers that show the true grim state of games preservation and how digital media is being handled in the gaming landscape, spotlighting how out of 400 of these kinds of titles that require the corporation's service and their servers and whatnot for them to be maintained, he discovered that of those 400 games that he looked at, 93.5% of them were disabled when support ended. Dang. Saying that this business practice is responsible for more destruction to the medium than anything else by an enormous margin. This initiative welcomes any solution that will solve the problem of video games being destroyed on this scale. We want this to be as easy and practical as possible for all parties involved and are very open to how that is achieved. We're not even asking publishers to change their business or monetization models, only that once they end support, they do so in a responsible way. Our only goal is to prohibit this destructive practice and thus obtain basic protections for consumers and the medium as a whole. And the main thing about Stop Killing Games is that everything it's requesting is incredibly reasonable, even for the corporations. It's just that the corporations themselves are not willing to play ball because they can't be bothered to be slightly inconvenienced for consumer-friendly practices. You can see that Scott is trying to work with the video game companies themselves so that there can be a way where this can all be as frictionless as possible for all.
Yeah, he's offering a way for them to, offering a compromise pretty much.
Parties involved, but corporations don't even want to make the attempt because it's just an extra step for them. Because consumer protection is too inconvenient and not a necessity in their eyes because it doesn't serve their financial quotas and goals. And then right here we have PC Gamer's article discussing the hearing that Stop Killing Games engaged in with the European Parliament. And this article focuses more on what the reception has been like from the members of Parliament. And you can see right here, there's been a lot of positivity with, for example, member of European Parliament, Anna Cavazzini, coming out and thanking and congratulating the folks who represented Stop Killing Games for the great work that they have done, and insisted that she's heard a lot of support from basically all the political groups for your initiative. And then another member of parliament, Ilhan Kyuchuk, shared similar sentiments, reiterating the broad support from the relevant committees. Stop Killing Games also felt pretty good about it, with one of its members, Kadzner, talking about how he felt that all this ultimately went absolutely incredible, stating, "I think that everyone that watched it might have noticed that there was no MEP that wasn't responding positively, no member of parliament that was negative about this in any way. Even the commission was pretty positive, I'd say." So across the board, Stop Killing Games presented an argument that made everyone in this hearing, that made all of the legislators go, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, and this is something that we feel strongly about and positively about. So it feels like they're ready to collaborate, which is huge. Ross Scott himself felt that things went extremely well, saying that, "I feel like if things had gone off absolutely perfectly on our end, the results actually might not have been that much different. If there had been a little more prep time, it might have gone a little more smoothly, but then for the end result, I think it would have been the same." Basically, they're like, we got the best case scenario, though it's worth highlighting that all of this is ultimately still a first step into the public, into the legislative process, as Kadzner stated. So this is still a long road. Doesn't mean that laws will immediately be passed. Like, this is going to be, many months and years before it all comes to fruition. But this is how it all starts. This is how, for the long-term future, we can potentially see policies and legislations and laws that will ensure game companies can't get away with the really shitty and shady practices that they've been engaging in when it comes to believing that they can just fully control our ability to access the digital products that we've purchased, that whether we can have access to them is fully based on what the companies want to do. That's a ridiculous thing when customers are being told that they're buying the products, the digital products that they're spending money on. Yep. When you buy something, the expectation is you can keep it for as long as you maintain it. And so yeah, looking through stock.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like like when you go into like any store or anything like that, right? Online store, it says to buy. It doesn't say to rent or anything like that. So it gives it like that false pretense, false advertisement type of thing. Pretty much lying to you. That's what it seems like. Everybody's getting lied on, everybody's getting duped, things like that.
Stop Killing Games various social media channels, you can see that it's just a victory lap all around, whether it's Stop Killing Games here, whether it's Moritz Kadzner here, who is a major part of Stop Killing Games, and of course Ross Scott himself highlighting the recent developments, and no doubt a lot of video game publishers and executives who do not want this for whatever reason, whatever bullshit excuse they come up with.
Because basically what's going on is they want to keep the money. They want to keep the money that they have from the millions of copies that they sold. They want to keep the money themselves, and they don't want to put it back into the game itself. They don't want to help build up the servers or help keep servers maintained or anything like that. If somehow player numbers are low, because this is what happens, player numbers get low, and it gets to the point where it's not enough to keep the cost of the servers running. So then that's when they end the service. Usually that's what happens. But what they want to do, what it seems like, is that they just want to keep the money, and then be like, all right, end the service, that's it, and not try to offer any way for the people that purchased the game, right, to be able to continue playing that game or to somehow get a refund. Damn sure they ain't getting a refund.
Are shitting their pants right now because they're seeing that, yeah, this is a snowball that as it keeps rolling down the hill.
Remember, majority of the studios from video games are in California, especially for the West Coast, or especially for United States. It's in California. So California passing that bill, California passing that bill, a lot of those developers are like, oh shit. So now they have to incorporate an end of life component to it. So this is for all continents. I think it's only for Europe for right now, but who knows? This could, for Europe, with parliamentary everything, this could come over to Congress for the United States. I'm not entirely sure. And then if it does get put into Congress and it gets talked about and it passes, then it could go to all. It could go to everywhere. But so far right now, this is only EU Parliament.
Hill gets bigger and bigger and more unstoppable, and hopefully this is a role that continues with future developments. And there you have it, folks. That's everything you need to know about the latest surrounding Stop Killing Games. Good news all around. Great developments all around. Great progress all around.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on all of this in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
All right. Amazing video. Great video. Let me go ahead and link this in the chat. All right, boom. There you go. All right. Let me go ahead and all right, there we go. All righty. Yeah, dude, this is amazing. I'm glad seeing that Ross stuck to it for 2 years. Stuck to it just, but again, this is from starting making a YouTube video and talking about Stop Killing Games and everything like that. So it's amazing. I love it. Hopefully again it can, you know, it gets through with Parliament. All European gamers, you guys get your you know, you guys be able to get your games and not have to deal with the issues. Also, this would put something big on Ubisoft, because Ubisoft is European, they're French. So that would change everything else up too, which would be very interesting. So but yeah, that's all I got for this video. Make sure to go check out Young Yeah. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and also give a like on the video, comment on this video as well. And then over here, you know, if you like the reactions or everything like that, go ahead and drop a subscription or subscribe to the channel. Drop a like and also comment on the video what you guys think. What do you guys think about the Stop Killing Games? And also let me know what else would you like me to cover or react to. All right, it's Alpha Channel. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.